Hi, and welcome to your first video lecture for English 1133. Now, this does not replace your text lecture. There are far more points in that than I'm going to discuss. I just wanted to go over some additional examples of a few key points. And as you might guess from what you see on your screen, my first point is writing an introduction. Now, your lecture says don't use phrases like since the beginning of time, basically tired, cliched. Nobody wants to read that or see it. So here's a sample introduction. All of the work I'm showing you comes from student papers that are several years old. If you look at this, you can tell that our author starts off with a question. This is often a good way if you're sort of stuck or if you want to already connect with your audience. We get some details about McDonald's, some nice little facts and statistics. And then at the end of the paragraph, we get another question. Is this a good thing, though, or is this just another way for America to corrupt other cultures and the culture of their foods? Now, a question is not a claim. But a question can be, again, a great way to reel in your readers and to set up your next paragraph where you will present the claim. As your text lecture says, your claim does not have to go in the introduction. It does not have to be the last sentence of your first paragraph. You might not arrive at your argument claim until the end of your essay because you're trying to work through this evidence and this source says this and it's all very confusing and you want to take your audience on that journey with you. Let's take a look at another sample introduction. You'll see that this one is much shorter and it starts out with sort of a dire statement. There is a new epidemic that is gripping the world and its name is Islamophobia. This intro is short and sweet. It gets right to the point. Says, here's the problem, it's Islamophobia. And then we do get the traditional, let's put the thesis, or what we in Comp2 call the argument claim, at the end of the first paragraph. Now, how do we know that this is the thesis? If we look at this statement in yellow, it says, measures have been taken to halt the spread of Islamophobia, but only a conscious effort to educate citizens about its dreadful implications can truly annihilate it in these countries. The three countries have been mentioned in the previous sentence, Australia, Britain, and the US. We know this is the argument because we can agree and disagree with this statement. Measures have been taken to halt the spread of Islamophobia. I could say, yeah, that's true. Or I could say, no, I really don't think that's a fair claim to make. I can agree and disagree with the second part of the sentence. Only a conscious effort to educate citizens. I could say, oh, yeah, that's how you deal with prejudice, bigotry, stereotypes. We need more education. Or I could swing the other way and say, that's all? That's your great idea to get rid of this horrific epidemic? Or I could say, oh yeah, I like the education, but that's only part of it. You need something else. I can look at this single sentence, and a claim does not have to be just one sentence. I can look at this single sentence, and I can basically argue with myself. I can agree, I can disagree, I can say, oh, we'd better if the sentence were this. This is a claim because I'm now curious to keep reading the paper and see, can this author back it up? What measures have been taken? A conscious effort to educate citizens, what does that mean? Is this effort going to be different in Australia versus the United States? This is a claim. And this is also what I'm going to talk about next. How do you know you've got a good claim? So here's a paragraph that starts off with some definition, sort of what's the topic, who are the players, HIV in Africa, US, Europe. Then we get a position right off the bat in the next sentence. These countries made an unwise decision. Could this be our claim? Next sentence talks about investing more in family planning, attacking the root of the epidemic. And then we get these two sentences with really great statistics and facts about how expensive it is to treat HIV. And these details are from 2002. Could be more, could be less, but it's still going to be staggering. Where is the claim in this introductory paragraph? Because it is an introduction. I can wait while you look for it. This sentence in the middle of the paragraph is the argument claim because it's what we call a proposal. A proposal is where you encourage your audience or a certain set of people to take action. By investing more in family planning, and here we also see a little bit of cause, and what's going to be the effect? Attack the root of the HIV/AIDS epidemic and affect population growth, poverty rates, education, health, mortality rates, break the cycle of costly interventions. My goodness, why haven't we done this already? And sometimes proposal arguments or claims sound like this. If we just do this one little thing, we'll see this snowball domino effect, and we'll have world peace, and no child will ever be hungry again. Now, if you didn't pick this out as the claim, you might have a really good reason for why you picked another sentence. Maybe you were drawn to the end of the paragraph because you knew it was the last sentence in the introduction. But this is just talking about how expensive it is, leading off of the end of the claim, breaking the cycle of costly interventions. And the next two sentences explain this is how expensive it is, therefore we need to invest more in family planning, and we'll break this cycle. Wherever you put your claim, whether it's at the beginning of the paper, the end of the paper, smack dab in the middle of a paragraph on page 3, it needs to be clear. No matter who you hand your essay to, the person would say, once he or she gets to the end, oh yeah, here's what you were trying to prove. Here's what you were trying to say. Let's practice spotting the claim one more time. So you know the drill. Take a look at this paragraph and identify where is the argument claim. Where is the statement, the sentence, the set of sentences that you could agree and disagree with. What here can you actually agree and disagree with? Music is a representation of the spirit and soul of the songwriter, singer, and listener. Most reasonable people would agree with this. People listen to music when they have emotions. Again, most people would agree. Then we have a quote, and usually a quote is not a claim. America has been known for being the trendsetter of the world. Okay, I could agree and disagree with this, but it's kind of vague and general. Then we get, although America does not get all of the fashion and themes from other countries, American cultures, especially music, is always heard around the world. Can I agree and disagree with that? Maybe there's some remote corner of Antarctica where they don't listen to American music. All right, here we go. Last sentence of the paragraph. American music, liked or disliked, is available worldwide. This really isn't a claim either. Or if it's supposed to be the claim, it's really weak because it's more of a statement of fact. I can't agree and disagree with it unless paper's going to get really picky about places that ban American music, but why doesn't the author say that then? Now let me show you an example of how, with just a couple extra words, this claim could become much stronger, much more argumentative. All I did was add this last line. Now, instead of just saying American music can be found all over the world, it's an argument. Is most popular in less religious countries that have favorable views of the U.S. Now, I still might say, well, that isn't that controversial or complicated, but it's still a lot better. There's more of a position here. There's more controversy here. Less religious countries. What does that mean? Favorable views of the U.S., who does that include? The last thing I'm going to show you is an example of transitioning between paragraphs. paragraphs. And I've already gone ahead and highlighted the transition because I really want to highlight how this is done. Now, I know a lot of you rely on transition words. You'll write a claim or a thesis that has 3 points, and then you might say first, next, finally. These really aren't good transitions. They're basically saying, I finished with my first point, and now I'm moving on to my next point, which might be entirely unrelated. Well, it is related because it comes second. The transitions in a college paper need to be much stronger, much more sophisticated. I shouldn't be able to take the paragraphs and just sort of mix and match them and slap first, second, third on any one of them. Here's an example. This is from a paper talking about how international students like to attend American universities. This first body paragraph talks about how the United States leads the world in science and technology. America has had the first atom bomb, computer, internet, moon landing. Then we get this lovely APA citation, which you'll be learning about this semester, of Nobel laureates. 37% of Nobel laureates are related somehow to American universities. Thanks to all of these really famous scientists, people want to come here if they're studying in technical fields. And what your text lecture suggests for more sophisticated transitioning is to take an idea or a phrase from the end of one paragraph and repeat it, sometimes with a slight difference, at the beginning of the next. So you know, what's the connection? What's carrying over into the next paragraph? And here, this student shifted from technical fields to technical expertise also carries over into the American system of research collaboration and professional internships. The writer is telling me, as the audience, here's what you need to keep in mind: technical fields, technical expertise. Good transitions are like entry and exit ramps on a freeway. You do not want your transition to be a bumpy, pothole-filled 3 yards where you just pray that your car makes it on at the right moment. You want those, beautiful, soaring, flyover ramps that give you lots of time to take in the city and ease into the new road or the next paragraph. This concludes your first video explanation. You'll have a few more as the course moves on. If you have any questions, please contact me.